What teacher lost everyone's respect in one day? I was taking my Spanish state exam when my phone rang. It was my mom's hospice. Your mother is declining fast. She has maybe 30 minutes left if she's lucky. The hospice was 20 minutes away if I walked, 10 if I ran. Miss Vexler didn't even look up from her clipboard. Phones down during state exams or automatic fail. No, you don't understand. Your mom's been dying for months now, hasn't she? Convenient timing for test day. She snatched my phone and locked it in her desk drawer. 28 minutes left. My best friend Isabella shot up. Just let him go, please! Miss Vexler planted herself in front of the door like a human barricade. Anyone who helps him leave gets reported for academic dishonesty. Through the desk holes, I could see my phone lighting up with texts. Please hurry, not much time left. That's when the principal's voice crackled over the intercom. Please send Archie Smith to the office for emergency family pickup. My heart jumped, but Miss Vexler walked to the intercom and pressed the button. Hospice said they made a mistake. The student is now taking a state exam. She turned back to me, eyes cold. Don't worry, I'm sure she's used to you disappointing her by now. The words hit like a physical blow. Something snapped in my chest and I couldn't breathe properly. I knew I was having a panic attack. 18 minutes left. Suddenly, the foster kid who never speaks stood up. His mom's the only adult who remembered my birthday. Her cake was the first birthday cake I ever had. Please let him say goodbye. Sit down, Anthony. Anthony's face crumbled, but he sank back into his chair. Miss Vexler scanned the room with narrowed eyes, daring anyone else to speak. You know what I think? She turned back to me, a cruel smile playing at her lips. I bet she's not even sick. Her fingers flew across the thermostat keypad. Probably just wants attention like you always do. Beep. Emergency shelter mode activated. The door locks clicked. We were sealed in. 15 minutes left. I could still make it if I ran the whole way. My chest was tight now, like someone was sitting on it. My heart was breaking in two. He's having a panic attack! Someone yelled. Maya, the special needs student, was crying now. Everyone laughed at my stutter. His mom taught me breathing exercises every day for free EE. Well, Miss Vexler was standing now. Maybe if Archie spent less time visiting her and more time studying, he wouldn't need to fake emergencies. My Apple Watch buzzed. Mom's heart monitor alert. Her vitals were dropping. 12 minutes. Maybe if I sprinted to see her. I was on my knees now, gasping. Please, she's dying. The classroom phone started ringing. Hello? Is this Archie Smith's high school? His mom is beep. Miss Vexler plugged out the phone mid-sentence. Amazing how the hospice knows exactly when we're taking state exams. Ellie, the quiet girl who was always covered in bruises, stood up shaking. She listened to me when no one else did. She saved my life. She wouldn't fake it. Please. Miss Vexler turned on me with pure venom. Well, this is the same mother who got me written up last month. Consider it karma. You're welcome. 8 minutes left. My legs gave out. I was crawling toward the door. That's when Ashley, perfect straight A Ashley, who'd never gotten a detention in her life, climbed on her desk. I have something to confess. Miss Vexler whipped around. Ashley, what are you? I cheated on every test. I stole the answer keys. I hacked your computer. What? Check your computer. It's all there. Miss Vexler abandoned the door, fumbling with her computer password. Ashley turned to me and grabbed my arm. Window, now. The whole class erupted. Desks banging. Kids shouting fake confessions. I grabbed a chair with shaking hands. Smash. Glass everywhere. I was through the window, cutting my hands, hitting the ground, running. 6 minutes. I ran like I'd never run before. My chest on fire. Heart shattering with every step. I burst through the hospice doors. Room 119. My mom looked so small in that bed. Her skin was paper thin, almost translucent. When I crashed through the door, completely out of breath with blood dripping from my hands, her eyes fluttered open. Mom, I love you so much. I'm so sorry She squeezed my hand, gathering every bit of strength she had left. Her lips moved again. I leaned in close. I love. Her mouth formed the shape of U, but no sound came. Her hand went slack in mine. The entire class burst through the door 5 minutes later. They'd all run after me. The foster kid fell to his knees. Isabella was shaking with rage. Even the class clown just stood there, tears streaming down his face. Miss Vexler had stolen my mother's last words. We all knew what had to happen next. Nobody moved for what felt like forever, just standing there in Mom's room while the machines kept beeping even though they weren't connected to her anymore. Isabella's hand found mine and squeezed so hard it hurt, but I didn't pull away because the pain felt better than the numbness spreading through my chest. Anthony dropped to his knees right next to Mom's bed and started sobbing these big, messy tears that made his whole body shake. The hospice nurse came in real quiet and checked Mom's pulse even though we all knew she was gone, then wrote something on her clipboard and said the official time was 3:47 p.m. She looked at me with these sad eyes and pulled out her tablet, scrolling through something before turning it toward me. The call log showed everything. Every single attempt they'd made to reach the school starting at 3:17 p.m., exactly 30 minutes before Mom died, just like they promised. The timestamp burned into my brain like someone branded it there because Miss Vexler had known exactly how much time I had left when she locked that door. My phone started buzzing like crazy in my pocket, and when I pulled it out, there were 12 messages from different people at the school, mostly about how the janitor found the broken window and already called Officer Webb, who was on his way to investigate. My chest got tight again, but this time it wasn't panic. It was something harder and colder that made my hands shake for a different reason. Isabella grabbed my phone and started taking screenshots of everything. The messages, the times, even the missed calls from the hospice that showed up after Miss Vexler took my phone. More kids from class started showing up at the hospice. First just a couple, then more and more until the hallway outside Mom's room was packed with people. Some were crying real quiet. Others just stood there looking shocked, and I heard someone say Miss Vexler's name with so much anger it made me flinch. Anthony still hadn't moved from his spot by the bed and kept whispering thank you over and over to Mom like she could still hear him. My phone rang and Amy Gordon's name showed up on the screen, but I couldn't deal with talking to anyone official right now, so I let it go to voicemail. Her message was all careful and professional, saying she heard what happened and wanted to help, but I could hear something else in her voice, maybe guilt or worry about what this meant for the school. Everything felt like it was moving too fast and too slow at the same time, like I was underwater watching things happen above the surface. The principal called next, and his voice through the phone speaker was all measured and careful, asking me to come in tomorrow to give a statement about the incident. The way he said incident instead of what it really was made something hot and angry bubble up in my chest, and I wanted to throw my phone against the wall, but Isabella grabbed it before I could. She knew me too well, knew I'd regret breaking it later when I needed those messages as proof. We stayed at the hospice for another hour while people came and went, some leaving flowers they bought from the gift shop downstairs, others just standing there not knowing what to do. When we finally left and walked through the parking lot, Ashley pulled me aside near the back corner where no one could see us. Her face was all pale and scared when she told me her whole cheating confession was completely made up just to create a distraction so I could get out. She kept wringing her hands and asking if she was going to get expelled, but also saying she'd do it again if she had to. I didn't know what to say because part of me wanted to thank her, and part of me wanted to tell her she shouldn't have risked her whole future for me. Isabella had already started a group chat while we were still in the parking lot and sent a message asking everyone to write down exactly what they remembered while it was still fresh in their minds. Within an hour, my phone had 17 different messages from classmates, all saying the same basic thing about how Miss Vexler locked us in and were ignored the hospice calls. Maya's message was the hardest to read because she typed out exactly how she talked, with all the stuttering, and wrote about how Mom helped her every single day for free when no one else would. The foster home people came to pick up Anthony, but he didn't want to leave, and they had to practically drag him to their car while he kept looking back at the hospice building. That evening, I sat alone in Mom's room at home with all her things the hospice had given me in a plastic bag. Her favorite sweater still smelled like her lavender perfume, and when I held it up to my face, I could almost pretend she was still there. The half-formed word she couldn't finish saying kept playing in my head over and over, that silent U her mouth made but couldn't voice. I folded the sweater real careful and put it back in the bag with her reading glasses and the book she'd been halfway through. Around 8 o'clock, the whole group from class showed up at my door without anyone planning it, and we walked through the neighborhood together, not really talking, but just being there. There's something really strange about Miss Vexler's reaction here. She seems way too prepared for this exact situation, like she knew the hospice would call during the exam. The way she immediately dismissed it as convenient timing, and then claimed the hospice made a mistake over the intercom, makes me wonder what's really driving her actions. Neighbors came out of their houses to watch us pass, and some of them knew Mom from all the kids she'd helped over the years. Mrs. Becker from down the street came out with a casserole dish covered in foil, and didn't say anything, just pulled me into this tight hug that made me start crying again, even though I thought I was all cried out. Back inside, my phone was going crazy with notifications, and when I finally looked at it, there were like 50 messages from kids at the school. Isabella had been texting me screenshots all afternoon of people posting about what happened on Instagram and TikTok, and the comments were already getting wild. Some people were calling Miss Vexler a monster and saying she should go to jail, while others were saying we were probably making it up for attention. Isabella was staying up trying to respond to everyone and keep the facts straight, because some kids who weren't even in our class were adding made-up details about things that never happened. My inbox had this email from someone named Yvette Mendoza, who said she was a district investigator and needed to schedule an interview with me for tomorrow afternoon about the incident. The way she wrote it all formal and official made everything feel way more serious, and I forwarded it to Isabella, who was basically handling everything for me at this point. Then another email came in from the exam board saying our Spanish state exam was flagged as compromised because of the classroom evacuation, and everyone who was in that room would have to deal with the investigation. My whole future felt like it was falling apart along with everything else, and I couldn't even think about college applications anymore. The phone rang, and it was Officer Webb from the police station saying I needed to come give a statement about the broken window and property damage. The way he talked made it sound like I was some criminal who vandalized school property instead of someone trying to see their dying mom, and my hands started shaking all over again. Isabella called me right after and said Amy Gordon had contacted her about Ellie's written statement and that she was legally required to report suspected abuse to CPS. We all knew Ellie had problems at home with those bruises, but seeing it become this official thing made me feel guilty for not noticing sooner when Mom would have noticed right away. Later that night, I had to sit at the kitchen table with all the hospice paperwork and sign a bunch of forms with the official time of death printed in black ink staring back at me. The hospice counselor was really nice and confirmed they had records of both calls they made to the school, which proved we weren't lying, but it didn't make anything better. The next morning, I had to go back to the school, and Miss Vexler's classroom had a substitute teacher sitting at her desk looking super uncomfortable while everyone whispered about what happened. Walking down the halls was awful because I couldn't tell if people were staring at me because they felt bad or because they just wanted to see the kid from the viral story. I kept my head down and tried to just get through each class without breaking down again. Amy Gordon pulled our whole group into her office during third period for what she called a grief check-in, and Anthony actually talked in full sentences for the first time I could remember. He told us how Mom was the only adult who ever made him feel like he mattered, and how she remembered things about him that even his foster parents forgot. We were all crying by the end, especially when Maya talked about how Mom helped her with her stutter every day after school for free. During fourth period, the principal held this big assembly where he talked about yesterday's incident and proper emergency procedures, but he never mentioned Mom dying or Miss Vexler locking us in. The way he made it sound all clean and official like it was just some drill that went wrong made me so mad I had to leave the auditorium before I did something stupid. At lunch, I went to the library and used their computer to file a formal complaint through the district's online portal with Isabella, helping me write everything down with all the exact times and details. Ashley came over and added her part about the fake confession she made to distract Miss Vexler and took full responsibility for lying about cheating, even though she was just trying to help me. The librarian kept looking over at us because we were all crowded around one computer, but she didn't say anything when she saw we were crying. That afternoon, more kids started coming forward with their own stories about Miss Vexler and how she'd done cruel things to them over the years, but nobody had ever reported it before. One girl said Miss Vexler made her take a test the day after her dog died and told her animals don't have souls, so she shouldn't be upset. Another kid said she wouldn't let him call his dad when he was having an asthma attack because she thought he was faking. The stories kept coming, and Isabella was documenting everything in this big Google Google Doc she shared with Amy Gordon and the district investigator. My dad finally got home from his business trip that night, and when he saw all the missed calls and messages, he just broke down completely. He kept saying he should have been there, and how Mom would never forgive him for missing her last moments, but I told him it wasn't his fault because nobody expected it to happen so fast. We sat at the kitchen table going through all the emails and documents, and he got really quiet